This is gonna be the worst behind the scenes video ever. Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
This is Marissa.
The assistant director. And Mike, genius. She's adorable. You were like my right-hand woman. This is my right hand. And
I was
you are
your
a
woman.
woman. So that's how that goes. Episode 2.
That was cool.
Was
It was
cool.
great.
Episode 2 was when we did our first filming sessions for a bunch of stuff. We had our first outdoor filming session, and that
Which
was
scene was that one?
interesting. It was scenes 5, 6, and 7. So when Emily is investigating the apple, and then Heather comes in after her, and then Emily leaves with Neville for the hobo shack. I remember the scene where Emily is following Neville, and the narrator is talking, and then Neville turns around and says something, and it translates. That scene we only did one shot of because I couldn't figure out how to properly time things, and it was super confusing. So it'd be 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, then 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, then nod, then walk. Does that make sense? Dear goodness. But it actually ended up working out, and luckily we didn't have to reshoot it, but I got super frustrated with that shot because I couldn't time it properly, and it was really confusing for everybody. And then we had our first indoor session as well, where we filmed all the stuff in Heather's bedroom for episode 1 and episode 2. It was all in one filming session. And you were there.
Yeah.
We could talk about the cake though.
mind.
The forklifting. The forklifting.
It was fishing wire on a fork, and I was lifting it badly.
It was pretty bad. The shot, it was horrible. I had the wrong. Okay, the way
The
that we
fishing
made.
wire was too thick,
Yeah.
so when you could see it on camera.
It was horrible. So that's how we made most of the things move
Fishing wire.
with like the invisible people.
Yeah.
Fishing
Anytime
wire.
you see bushes moving,
Pretty much anybody who was on set, I'd be like, guess what?
including Sharayah.
You get to be a bush
Sharayah
wrestler.
did it too.
But for those at home who want to do something like this, don't get 40-pound fishing wire because it's super thick and really
Because-
obvious.
Bushes don't weigh 40 pounds when you're shaking them.
Oh, do you want to talk about voice recording sessions?
Sure.
We did most of Neville's recordings all in one session.
Mm-hmm. The panting and the groaning and some of the whining and the cackling.
I think the best part with Neville's lines was the fact that I would like, he'd have lines, but I'd basically, and like they'd be numbered and I'd be like, okay, this is line 16 or something. But I'd basically just have written instructions of what I wanted them to sound like, and then they could just go off and do whatever the heck they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, and Caitlin and Craig were very, very good at it.
So we had 2 cameras that we use in the series. One of them is my Canon Rebel T3i
EOS Rebel T3i.
DSLR camera with, I just had a basic lens kit or whatever that came with it. So we used that for most of the shots, but we also just used a regular iPhone for when Heather is documenting stuff in the forest. And it's kind of interesting because there were some shots where I would get her to record on the iPhone as I was recording on this one. So you just get one, it was kind of 2 separate shots, but I combined them at the right time and like by frames and spliced them in the right places so that it looked the same and I had that continuity. But there's some times when I would do just separate iPhone shots and then I would combine them with separate DSLR shots. And those were kind of the hardest to edit. Like that's what happened with the scene where Sasquatch comes through the bushes. I had all of those iPhone shots we shot separately, and then we had the camera shots. So it was kind of difficult to try to time them properly when she's turning the phone and then he's coming out, and I had to find the right shots where he was most covered by the bushes and you couldn't really see him that well.
The iPhone shots are cool though. Because Heather's vlogging, right? So they work really well. I thought it was a good idea. Do you want to talk about voice recording with Brandon?
Oh!
Because we never talked about that voice recording.
Brandon. Brandon's narrating sessions we did separate, kind of like we did with Neville's narrating sessions. And we had to go to Brandon's house because he couldn't come here to my house. So we'd have to drive to his house, which is in a different city.
It would take a long time though, because we would get very off track.
Just off in general.
No, voice recording was good. Brandon was really good as a narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was there when he did his audition.
Previously on Crazy, Heather set out to prove that her roommate, Emily, is crazy. Emily, who is not crazy, hijacked the project to prove just that. I became the narrator, Neville threw an apple, and Heather realized the gravity of what she's up against. If you want more, maybe you should go watch the last video.
And I think we both kind of knew right away that he would be good for a narrator just because he has a good narrator voice.
He
I
does.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't really know why. It's just like, it just works. It just works really well.
Yeah.
So, this is our very disorganized behind the scenes video, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I don't know why you wanted me to do this.
Because I wanted more people in the video, and so you got Marissa.
I should just be in every single one of the behind the scenes videos.
You should. You were
I
the
was
assistant.
joking.
I'm not.
Oh god.
Next week will be an extra kind of behind the scenes bonus type video that I will not spoil for you. This month's Q&A video will be with Brandon, the narrator, and Caitlin, who did Neville, one of the Neville voice actors. So get your questions in, you can comment or on any of the videos for episode 2, as well as you can post on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr.
Or if you have Sharayah's phone number, you just text them to her.
#CrazyQA. And yeah, get your questions in by November 25th.
Get them in by the 26th, just to piss Sharayah off.
Okay, bye. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was nice for you. I hope you enjoyed her beautiful face. Yeah, this is what I had to deal with.
You were worse.
Stop walking around and making noise! Parents are so difficult.